Down.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, September 28th, 2021. It's a great day here. It is my birthday. It's my honor, my privilege to spend that with you today. We love Tuesday Notary Titans. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, and I'm the host of the Side Hustle Lounge podcast, and I'm here with my co-host for Tuesday Notary Titans, Laura Biewer. How's it going, Laura?
Beautiful and improving.
That's great. Awesome. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes. For those who don't know me, I'm Laura Biewer, founder of Coach Me Laura. I coach notaries for all 50 states on their state-specific laws. I also am the owner and organizer and founder of Notary Symposium, which is an annual event for notaries put on by notaries coming up this November 6th. We still do have some seats left. So if you have thought about joining us, please do. Just go to notarysymposium.com.
Awesome. Great introduction, Laura. I'm excited to be here. Guys, this Tuesday Notary Titans, if you're brand new to the show, this is like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, except modern technology. We've got live video cameras. Use the raise hand feature to ask your question. When we call on you, it's really important because every state's different to tell us what state you're located in so we can help you out the best. And then we ask, because we want to get to as many questions as possible, just get straight to your question. We don't quite need the full story of how you got there. Just ask us your question. And if we need some background information, Laura or I will ask you some probing questions to get there. All right. Well, let's keep ourselves on mute if you don't mind. I'm on a tablet device, so I don't have as good a control as I normally do on these things, but let's just jump right in there. Larry, thank you so much for being here. You want to tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help?
Hello, everyone. I'm in California, San Francisco to be specific. And my question is, and I'm pretty sure I've asked about this before, it's just kind of this form has become my kryptonite, and I'm always afraid of it when I run across it. But it's the, it's not, see, I've already freaked out on that because I forgot this name. It's not the I-9, the federal one, the government one, the right to work one.
The I-9?
That is the I-9.
No, not the I-9, because I know we can't do anything on the I-9. Patriot Act. Patriot Act form.
Oh, the Patriot Act. Okay. Yeah.
Because, for instance, what happened last week was I got a signing with absolutely no instructions. So I'm kind of just doing everything that I would normally do on a signing, and it had the I-9 within the package. So I didn't get any instructions on whether or not to get copies of the ID. And usually, like when I've applied for jobs and had to fill out the I-9, I had to bring in copies of my personal ID to be copied. So I made the assumption that they would want copies. So I got the signers to give me copies of their IDs. And then when I was doing the scan backs, I thought, I know some companies don't want copies of the ID in any case. And I don't remember if it's standard, if you have to turn in copies of ID when you're doing the Patriot Act form. So I didn't send it in, but I sort of scanned them and put them away in case someone asked for them. So I guess my question is, just to finally clarify in my head, I can stop being freaked out by this form. I know, for instance, that as the person examining the IDs, I sign it, but I don't sign as a notary. I always sign as just a lone signing agent. But is it standard to collect copies of ID for this form?
Okay, great.
Depends on.
Yeah, what a great question, Larry. And so the form itself does not typically require copies of the identification to be made, but that's a separate issue. So the form is you verifying or examining the IDs and filling it out, signing it as appropriate. And then the hiring company is going to be the determining factor on whether or not you need to make copies of that. So for me, I have found Now, again, guys, like there's no blanket statements, right? I think Laura can agree. There's no statement that's going to be, oh, all the time it's this way and all the time it's not this way. It just doesn't go that way. It would be in a lovely, perfect world if these hiring companies would give us specific instructions on exactly what the expectations were on every single appointment, but that doesn't always happen. So it's as close to a standard as I have found in my world, in my signing company, that we need some kind of copy of the identification on almost every single appointment. In fact, it's so much that if they don't need it, that's when they'll say, please do not get copies of the ID. We've already got them, or something along those lines. Laura, do you have anything else you might say to this?
Handle it similar, just a little differently. I expect them to tell me they want the ID, and they usually do tell me it in the instructions, but if they do not specifically say we want a copy, I do not provide a copy. So I let the instructions of the confirmation or the lender's instructions, either one, because sometimes you have both, tell me if that's needed. And if it's not saying I need it, then I don't take the copy. Now, so far, I haven't had any issue with not turning in copies when they didn't say anything.
I think this is going to be client specific, Larry.
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
Yep.
Right. Just in this case, there were no instructions, which is really odd. It's the first, or maybe the first or second time I've run into that, where there were absolutely no notary instructions. So I just kind of did everything that I usually do.
So if that would be, Larry, if that was a concern for me about should I do it, should I not, I would be reaching out to them to say, look, I don't have any instruction. Are you needing copies of IDs?
Okay.
I would at least make the reach out and ask. If I don't have instruction, I'm worried about not getting it, I would ask.
Okay.
Yep.
You never go wrong.
And then on that same note too, Larry, is like I always triple check to make sure that either on the platform, there's not a place where the instructions were tucked away and I missed them, or if they were in an email, or if they were written on the order form. Like I never want to go in thinking, oh, you guys never told me this. And they're like, hey, we did. Here's the email.
Right.
Actually read it. You know, I don't want to do that. On the other note, and I know this is something Laura and I are both really passionate about, is how you frame your question. Like if you're going to ask them if you need IDs, don't just send an email that says, do you need a copy of IDs? Frame it in such a way that it looks like you're an expert and a professional. Like, hey, I noticed that I didn't get any instructions. Many of my clients prefer that the borrower provide copies of their IDs. Is this what you're expecting here? Like frame it that way so you look like a pro and not like an amateur.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You got it, Larry. Thank you so much.
Hey, Bill. Bill, can I add something to that?
Sure, Dan. What's up?
Real quick, Larry, if you can't reach anybody to get that question answered, then I just print out a copy of, I take a photo and print out the copy of the licenses and include it in the package. That's what I've been doing.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. And of course, we just want to add the caveat there that it is always better and highly recommended and best practice to always have the signer be the one that does that and prints those out and makes the copies, so we don't have any responsibility for that personal information. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. All right, Randy Venters, I know you're in Washington. Welcome. How's it going today? How can we help?
Good. So maybe a little bit of a more detailed, convoluted question. So I was going back and reviewing all my signings that I've done, and I've done over 250 signings for a local title office, and probably 230 of those signings have been through one signing service. That title office has now started using another title service or another signing service. So I've been developing a relationship with the office staff. I've asked how they decide, and they kind of just said it's a crapshoot of kind of who they decide to give it to. They don't really have any determining factor. They both use signing order. Both signing services use signing order. And then they also gave me a list of all the signing services that they use, because they use 3 or 4 actually. Is it, I guess, okay, or should I not feel a sense of loyalty to the first signing service to go out and sign up for all these other signing services, just so that I can get as much business as possible with this one title office that I like working with.
Yeah, great question, Randy. I love that you have a relationship where they that kind of information. Laura, what's your take on this?
Actually, I was kind of waiting to hear what you were going to say.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, the first thing I always wonder about is integrity and whether or not I'm out of integrity or if I appear to be poaching. But in this case, I don't see that at all. This is a title company who has chosen their relationships. They, for whatever reason, they're cultivating four or five different relationships with signing companies. And I think it would be in your best interest to absolutely register with those other signing companies. I don't see an integrity lapse at all. So that's what the first thing I always worry about. So I definitely jump on it. And then just the thing is, you got to keep it straight, right? Because you're used to the title company, but all these other signing companies are going to have their own processes, their own billing. There's some are going to pay less, some are going to pay more. You're going to have more information than a lot of notaries have. So you've just got to keep yourself in check with that and be okay with whatever you come across.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Does that help, Randy? Laura, did you have?
No, I just said
follow-up?
ditto.
Ditto. All right,
No
great
sense in
question, great
repeating.
problem to have. All right.
And can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yeah, sure.
So about 6 months ago, one of the schedulers asked me about going direct. And at that point I said, well, I don't know, that's up to your company on how you guys decide you want to hire people, but I'm going through the signing service. And if you guys want to call me directly, that's up to you. And then she came back and said, oh, well, the person that runs our title office, so the title company is owned by a larger company, as many of them are. The person that runs the local office here only wants to use signing services because their parent company makes it too difficult for them to hire notaries direct with all of the background checks and hoops that they have to jump through. Would it be worth trying to, or would it be wrong to try to, at this point, approach going direct? And then if I get signed up direct, still take direct jobs, but also take jobs through the signing services for the same title company?
I think that walks a finer line, Randy. I love that they've approached it, but they've already kind of made their decision and drawn the line in the sand. And if you reach out and pursue, you're not only damaging one relationship now, you're damaging 4 or 5 of them, those other signing companies. All of them might perceive this as poaching, and you might not get any business at all. They're all going to cut you off if they find out about it. And then you may get every now and then a couple signings direct from the title company. So I'm not sure if that would be worth it. And I don't know if your integrity in the industry is worth it for sure. Now, there is, I think, a bigger opportunity here. And I love that you even think this deeply about it, Randy. I really do. You have value to bring to every single one of those signing companies because you are familiar with this title company. You've done 250 signings or 200 and whatever it was signings with that company. You know the ins and outs. You know what the escrow officer likes and doesn't like. That's tremendous value. So I would go to every one of these signing companies that works for them and just say, hey, I'm really familiar with this. I love the working relationship I have with them. I'll honor your relationship with them too. And I think I would serve you if you made me a preferred notary for those appointments. And then you end up getting more of those appointments anyway. And you never know what's organically going to happen with these relationships, guys. Things change and shift all the time. Maybe opportunity down the road for a direct relationship with them. There's no rule that says you have to say, no, 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 don't hire me direct. Stop asking me. You don't have to do that. When that time comes, you'll have a decision to make later on down the road if that time comes. But right now, I think this is the best course of action for you.
All right. Thank you.
You got it, Randy. Thank you. Soraya White, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to unmute and tell us what state you're in and ask your question?
Hi, I'm in California. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, I have three really quick questions. Two of them have to do with pre-printed dates on documents. So on the right to cancel form, not in the body of the form, but in the header where it has the document date. If it's different than the date of the signing, is it okay for me to have them cross out an initial like you would throughout the rest of the form, or does that not matter?
Great question. Laura, what do you say?
I say you don't change any dates on documents that are in the header part. You leave those alone. The only dates I would be concerning myself with is the ones within the right to cancel to make sure those are correct.
Okay. And on the same question for a California certificate. So a signing that I did this weekend, everything was already pre-printed in their certificates, but the date was different from the signing date. So is it okay? Could you cross out the date with the current date? Let's say if I didn't have a form on me, or I know the best is always to replace with a form, but it just made me curious to ask.
Absolutely. Anywhere on the certificate that needs to be corrected is your job.
Okay.
You can do a single strike initial and fix that, or you can replace it if you prefer.
Okay. And my last quick question, kind of following up to what you guys were talking about with Randy. If I meet a client on a loan signing, obviously if they ask me for other loan signing work, I'll refer them to the company that hired me. But what if they want general notary work done? Is it okay to do that, or do I just back away? Because I don't want it to be perceived as me trying to undercut anyone.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, Soraya. When you say client or customer, are you meaning the signer?
Yeah.
Okay. So with signers, typically, there's less of a concern about poaching. In fact, it's rarely considered poaching at all. A signer's a signer. They don't have the relationship with the signing company and the title company. You know, this might be a one-off type of thing. So the poaching concern comes between a hiring company like a signing company,
Right.
and their escrow direct clients, but not the signers. Signers are, for lack of a better word, fair game. As long as it's within the policies of the company that hired you. And it's real important. This is part of integrity too. You don't, like some companies will tell you, please do not text, do not call, do not follow up, do not leave a business card. You know, they're really strict about it. So when you accept the appointment, you agree to those terms and conditions. So you want to honor that. But for the most, 98% of loan signings or appointments, that's not the case. In fact, there's some escrow officers that appreciate that you go a little above and beyond. Maybe you send a thank you card, you stay in touch with them. You absolutely, here's the valuable part of this, guys. If you want a business that's going to last a lifetime, or a customer that's going to last a lifetime, if they needed a notary once, they will need a notary again. So your two main responsibilities at these appointments is to expertly perform the duties they hired you to perform, and then to lay the foundation for a relationship that could last beyond this one single transaction. So I like to end my appointments with, and it's usually at loan signing appointments, it's a fun environment, right? Like it's usually, it's been kind of stressful lately, but it's usually pretty warm and friendly. So I'll say, thank you for making this fun for me too. I love to stay in touch. Do you mind if I send you a thank you card and email? I get their permission to stay in touch, and then I do. And it's not sales stuff. I'm not pitching them a new notary. Hey, you ready for a notary yet? You ready for a notary yet? You buying a car yet? It's not like that. It's just every now and then checking in and saying, hey, thinking about you. How are things? Laura, do you have any additional feedback on that?
No, I agree. And I have done other documents, notarized other documents that they just happen to have at the time that I was there for a loan signing. And I just take care of that business. It's separate business. When I'm done with one, which is the loan signing, then basically I'm kind of changing hats. I'm no longer taking care of that. I'm taking care of some personal documents for them. And I agree with Bill. If they need a notary once, they'll need them again. A huge portion of my business is repeat business. And they start out with, you help my mom, you help my dad, you help my whatever. You helped me last year. The longest one was 14 years. She kept my card 14 years.
Wow.
And said, I'm ready to sign over the ranch to my grandson. Can you come back? So I think it's really important.
Yeah, guys, here's the way it works is if you're doing your job like passionately, you love what you do, you've owned this, you become the expert in your area, people are going to call you back. They want to be around you. You are a standout in an industry where mediocrity has ruled for so long. Like, my boss made me a notary, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it. I'll stamp this piece of paper for you, or they're cranky about it, whatever it is. So when you step into this role, people are going to remember you. They're going to want to hire you again. Make it easy for them.
Thank
Soraya,
you.
was that helpful? All right, you got it. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
So good. How are you doing?
How are you doing? You're about 100 miles from me, if I'm guessing right. How you been?
I'm so good. Loving it up here. How can we help you today?
Well, I would like to know if it's okay if I make a little pitch for Notary Masters.
Yeah, I'd love it if you did. Yeah, we'll include links in an email as well.
Great. Notary Masters is going to be I'm hoping to charter a Toastmasters club just for notaries. And we're going to meet hopefully twice a month. I'm going to have a couple of demonstration meetings on October I don't even have the date now. Next Thursday.
Right. Yeah.
Next
Okay.
Thursday, I think, is the 9th. And so we're going to have one on the 7th and the 21st of October, 9:30 a.m. If you go to notarymasters.org, there's now a Toastmasters style website on there and set up there, and you can go ahead and read about it. And there's a place you can actually let me know, put that you're coming. I don't really require you to sign up, but if you want to leave an RSVP, then I can put you on our invitations and our calendar entries. But it's really going to help. It's really helped me with the confidence of when things kind of go crappy and say somebody asks you about a document that we don't necessarily see, and suddenly you're stuck and you don't want to appear stuck. You want to appear confident and say, okay, well, you know what, let's take a look at what this is. And it really helps you through those tough times. Gives you, as I say, with confidence, speaking, you learn how to evaluate, you learn how to kind of just be a little bit stronger speaker and present yourself a little bit better. And it's helped me a lot over the years, and I'm hoping that it will help others in the business. And
Yes.
the fact that it will be a notary specific club, we'll be able to use jargon and terminology that we might understand. And there will also be some networking time before and after the meeting, so we get a chance to share ideas
Dan,
and thought to each other.
I'm so glad that you're doing this. And what a great way to connect with other notaries around the country. And also, guys, Toastmasters was a life changer for me because it helped my presentation skills. And when you think about it, what do we do all day, every day as loan signing agents? We are presenting documents. And the better we can do that, the more smooth and efficient our appointments go. Also, if you've got a networking event or a chamber event or an opportunity to speak in front of other professionals, Toastmasters can be the key to helping you out. And I love that Dan's organizing one just for notaries so we can geek out together. And I will send out the registration link as well, Dan, when I send out the replay email this week. Thank you so much.
It's actually set up in a Google. It's not fancy. It's a Google form. So
no problem. I'll send out the link.
And then we're going to be, if anybody here wants to be a part of it that is an experienced Toastmaster, you don't have to be here now. I would love some help with some of the roles for the demo meetings. So if anybody could take on, that's familiar with what the roles of a meeting are, I would really love to have somebody, even if you don't want to join this club, maybe you joined a club before and you want to help me out for these 2 meetings, that would also be helpful. I will put my email address. Well, the contact me email is actually on the website. So
okay,
I will put that in there, but I want to say that, and I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I have looked high and low for a definition for one of the forms in there. And the only reason I care is because I don't know how to explain it when the signer wants me to explain it, which is the gap indemnity waiver. And it comes up, I find it comes up a lot in signings in the early part of the month rather than at the late part of the month. And I can't find it in the books. I can't find it in the descriptions. And all I can tell is sometimes it takes some of these closings, it takes a couple of weeks to finish up.
Yeah.
And all I can really believe is I see it more being a month because at the end of the month, they're in a hurry to get them closed quickly.
So
But, yeah,
Dan, we got an answer for you. The first thing I want to tell you is that this is a script inside Sign and Thrive in phase 3. If you just
Okay.
use the search feature and type in gap, I have the script that I use in that.
very good.
So you can check that out. But just for the sake of this conversation, basically the gap indemnity really kind of reared its head last year. I have not been seeing much of it this year, but it was during COVID when some of the title offices were closed, some of the recording offices were closed at the counties. So what would happen is they would agree to close these loans and fund them, but they weren't able to record. So there was a gap between funding and recording. And basically the gap indemnity said, if there's some lien that comes through between the time it funds and the time that it actually records, the title insurance is not going to cover that. That's basically what it is. And I gave a real short description. I can't even remember what it is. I haven't seen it in so long inside the course. Laura,
So
do
the
you?
Gap.
I don't get it.
Is
I
a
haven't
gap
seen
of
it.
time.
Yeah, it's a gap in time from the time it closes to the time it actually records with the county. But again, I think Laura's saying that she hasn't seen them in so long. I haven't seen them since I think December or January was the last time I've seen it.
I had one yesterday.
All right, good deal. Love this business. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. All right, Christine Wilkes, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Yeah, sorry, my camera's not working. And I'm so glad that Dan, you asked that question because I'm seeing the gap indemnity in like every package I'm doing. So I don't know if it's just because I'm in North Carolina, maybe there's delays. I don't know, but so I am in North Carolina, but my question is irrelevant to that. I usually don't take assignments that require scan backs. However, I did one this morning. And I just want to kind of get ideas from the Hive. I use the Genius Scan app to scan, and I'm wondering if there's any like better ways to do it or other apps that are out there that can quickly scan and upload.
Yeah, great question, Christine. We're going to pass this over to the chat.
Yeah.
So we can get Matt just
Awesome.
answered. We already have quite a few posting in there, but if you're on this call and you have a smartphone app that you love to use for scanning documents, please type that into the chat. Also,
Yeah, see,
Christine,
somebody said buy a scanner, but I'm looking for something on the go.
yeah. So, and we'll get those in the chat for you. A lot of, Christine, what a lot of their notaries are going to talk about is that they've gone mobile. So they actually have scanners in their cars.
Really?
Or, yeah, that they can either attach to power in their car, or even some of them will swing by a Starbucks for power or internet, or I know some even ask, especially on purchases where it's critical timing, they
Yeah.
might ask the signer if they can plug their scanner in and scan directly from the closing table. So the
Yeehaw,
scanner,
I did not know that was a thing. Yay.
there are great portable scanners that can make that relatively easy to do. The Epson 500s, I use the Brother ADS 2000 series. That was a great mobile scanner. So yeah, and
so glad I
Fujitsu as
asked.
well. Yeah, and there's lots of great info for you inside the chat for you.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. That's
You're
why
welcome.
I keep coming back.
Thanks, Christine. Nice to see you here.
Thanks.
All right, Celicia, welcome from Florida.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for asking. Thanks for watching my nervous breakdown moments ago.
Yeah.
Looked like
Didn't have
you're
time
really
to turn
going
off
off
the
on
camera.
somebody.
Was I? Do you think I was? Happy birthday.
You were singing happy birthday. That's what you
I
were.
was singing happy birthday. You know, my blood pressure is like 90/60, and my resting pulse is 58 for moments like this, when it hits 180/150 and 900. So
what's up? How can we help?
well, I started to, well, the reason my original call was about one thing, but I'm going to tell you about this. I don't know how to host my own website, but I can tell you before the sun sets on my butt today, I will know the answer to that question, and I will never be held over a barrel again, and I will never have anybody pull the rug out from under my feet, and my website will go down only because I say it goes down, and I will never let this happen again. I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have a decent website and to have service. And to have this happen to me, I am hot as snot.
Yeah, that's
And if I could get my hands on him, he'd be dead. Yes, I just said it in front of everybody. It won't happen again, but it won't happen. See, the best education you ever get is through your pocketbook. That's what my father always said, and he was right again. So I'm going to learn how to host my own damn website. Now, I might have somebody else fix it, might have somebody else work on it, might have somebody else tweak it or add pictures or whatever, but the hosting will be mine and mine only, and it'll never happen again. I will always host my own website. Number two.
Yeah, number two. If you have some
Number two.
suggestions for Celicia, add it up in the chat window. If you have a web designer or hosting program you love using.
But the reason that I called, my original reason that I kept called was to let you guys know what we did. I mean, every Monday night we do a little rainbow wrap up with with the people in my rainbow network. And what we did last night is one of our notaries did a mock signing. In other words, she had all of the documents for an FHA, VA refi, a buyer's package, a seller's package. Everything was redacted, and there were a dozen of us on the call, and we just went over it page by page by page on how to do everything on a signing, because we have some people who have done hundreds of these. We have some people who have never done the first one. So it was just a really great opportunity. People always talk about the documents speak for themselves, and they do. Once you see them, put your hands on them. It just is really great to work together and to help each other out to make a success. So, as I found, for the most part, people that in the notary world are here to help one another. And I won't even tell you about what I saw the other night. We'll do that on another day.
Celicia, if people want to get involved, how can they do it? Where can they go to find out more information?
For
what
the
you're
rainbow?
talking about.
Rainbow?
Yeah.
For the rainbow? Yeah. Well, if my website was up, but you can always email me at 904rainbow@gmail.com.
904rainbow@gmail.com. All right. Celicia,
Yeah,
thank
and
you
I'm
so
trying to
much.
create, like I said, I'm trying to create a notary world of the good guys, and here in Florida, so that the people, when people are looking for quality people that are rising above, people who are the cream of the crop, because that's what I was talking about with the team last night. Is these people are just taking these $50 closings. Good. They will wash out. They will burn out when they start printing 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 pages and driving 50 miles and spending 4 and 5 hours, and they get paid $50. That's okay. Good. I'm not going to do that. And they're not going to do it long either. And so, we're going to make the 150s, the 175s, the 200s, the 250s, because that's what we work, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, there's lots of good business out there.
There is lots
All
of
right,
good business out there.
Celicia, I posted your email address in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you get your website taken care of.
Thank you,
Take a
guys. I
breath.
hate it when I lose you guys.
All right, thank you. Phil, Shannon, it's always a pleasure to see you. I know you've got a call coming up as well.
I do indeed, and thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. I apologize. I know we talked a little bit this morning, and I didn't know it was your birthday, so I'm happy I got to join in and give you some of my bad singing, something I will never do professionally. But I do want to invite everybody to our Zoom right after Clubhouse. We'll talk about how to protect and grow your business. As most of you know, I've worked with Laura and Bill for a number of years, and just excited to share what we do with all you folks. It has been amazing the last few months, the response that I've gotten from notaries all across the country. Celicia, I know you have our service. I'm not sure if the law firm can help, but maybe, I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly what your situation is, but it never hurts to give them a call and find out. So if you want to find out how to protect and grow your business, Bill's going to post my number, or I will post my number. Just text me and I will get you the link to the Zoom. I have to travel to the place I'm doing the Zoom because I have a Zoom right after that. as an employee benefit for the city of San Jose, and I've got to do that at 2 o'clock. So I can promise you this Zoom will not last very long. So if you're worried about the Zoom going too long, I can promise you it won't. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Laura.
right.
Appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you, Phil.
Again, text me, guys.
All right. And we'll get Phil's number there in the chat here in just a moment. All right. Next up is iPhone or iPhone. You're up. Would you like to unmute? Tell us your name, what state you're in, and how we can help. iPhone. All right. iPhone. You don't know who you are yet either. That's okay. I'll come back to you. We're going to leave you up there in case you're looking for the mute button. Andrea, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to unmute? Tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, I'm in California.
All right.
So I had more of an integrity question. My daughter and her husband, they recently bought a home and they closed about a week ago. And my daughter is not a borrower because she's a stay-at-home mom right now. So the notary didn't know that my daughter is actually a notary. And when they went to close, the notary, she's direct. So she's a veteran there, and she even has an office down the street. And so she was a little cocky because it was on a Saturday and she said she didn't work on weekends, but I guess the title company, they reached out to her. And so during the signing, my daughter was so upset afterwards. She said, Mom, she goes, she didn't even stamp in front of us. She didn't give my husband any kind of oath or oral acknowledgement as far as like for the jurats, and that she just sped through, and the real estate agent was also present. And so my question is, you know, as a notary, it's so important that when we are sitting across from somebody, we never know who they are. And to be cocky like that and feel that she had it like that, I mean, she broke so many laws right there. And this is a company that I've recently gone direct with as well. I don't know who the notary is, but what do you do in a case like that when you know a notary is not acting out of her, she's acting out of her capacity by not stamping or doing what we all like hold ourselves accountable to do. We've worked so hard to do this job.
She's out of compliance, right? So Laura, I'd love to hear your opinion about this and what can be done when we encounter lapses in integrity or compliance.
Yeah, so I've had that happen on every refinance I've ever done, pretty much. But I'll tell you, for me, it was a teaching opportunity. And as soon as I start seeing them going the way they're going, I let them know if they had noticed on the loan application that I teach notary law classes. And by the way, I happen to notice, right, whatever it is I notice they're doing. And so, you know, my understanding is that's a requirement. And then I just stop and I let them tell me why they're doing what they're doing. I don't have time for that, whatever it is. And then I have an opportunity to share about why that's important. It's not busy work, right? So I approach it from trying to help a fellow notary to see maybe they don't know. You know, people sometimes they don't know, don't remember, or have they made a conscious decision that they need to cut corners in order to, you know, fit an extra signing in. And then once I ascertain what's going on there, I educate them about why it's important to do what we do the way we're supposed to do it. And I have done that on quite a few occasions. That's how I handle it.
I really like that approach, Laura, because that's, you know, it's like, how do you change the world? You start right there in your own world, right? With one relationship at a time. And hopefully, like, I know from experience that some people are open to it and some people are not. Mm-hmm. And then, so I guess my follow-up question, Laura, Andrea, if you don't mind, is what do you do when the notary is maybe just cocky, doesn't care, and is intentionally circumventing the laws?
Then I insist they fulfill the responsibilities in front of me, or I will not continue to sign documents.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Customer.
Yeah.
It's I am entitled to have it done correctly. And if they don't want to proceed that way, then we can stop the signing and I can have a different notary. I doubt that notary wants that to happen,
Right.
right? They want more work. That's why I always start with the idea, the benefit of doubt. You know, that maybe they didn't realize it was required. Then maybe they thought it was optional. Maybe they thought it was okay to do it at another time. And if that's the case, let me help them.
Excellent. Hold on, guys. We got to keep yourselves on mute, please. I don't have as much controls as normal. All right, Laura, I love that. Andrea, thank you for bringing that up. That is a common problem, but I love Laura's approach to this, and I think that's how we can all make a difference.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Renee.
Hi,
Hello
My
there. What state are you in?
I am in the state of Florida, but my question I think is pretty, it's regarding insurance. So I think it kind of is the same,
Sure.
no
What's up?
matter what state you're in. So I have my notary bond that we're required to have here in the state of Florida. I have notary E&O insurance of $100,000. But I've seen in several different chats, people talking about having a separate signing agent insurance. Do we have to have notary and signing agent insurance? What do you have, Bill?
Great question, Renee.
Cut to the chase.
So, yeah, so that is the that's the question. So we do not have to have
Right.
the signing agent insurance. That's a professional liability insurance policy that a lot of people opt to get, but a lot of people don't. It's not required. The only thing that these signing companies are looking for is your E&O policy from merchants bonding that you can get from really many different sources, but the one from the NNA is just fine. That's all they're looking for. Whether or not you decide to get additional insurance is going to depend possibly on some signing companies might saying, hey, we want 250,000 or 500,000 for direct or whatever that might be. But if you want the signing agent professional liability coverage, that's your personal risk tolerance.
Mhm.
I have a really high risk tolerance, so I did not have that kind of insurance. I just took my business seriously. I learned how to do it correctly, and I adopted the right policy of drop everything and fix it. I was a part of the team for my clients when I worked directly. So there was never this challenge of lawsuits that I had to worry about. Laura, I'd love to hear your perspective on this too.
Well, I'm going to say it's pretty similar. I don't have that. I do have a liability insurance policy for my office in case somebody fell and broke their leg, had an accident in my space. So for that reason, I have that. Otherwise, I have 100,000, and I'm going to tell you why. In my opinion, I don't feel like I need more. The first one is what Bill said. You know what? The first part is insurance is passive. It's after the fact, and you can never buy enough insurance, really. People can sue you for everything if they want. You want to be proactive, which means you know what you're doing, and then you do it correctly so that you minimize any risk in the work that you're doing. The second reason is because I think the more insurance I carry, the bigger policy I have, the bigger a target there is on my back that says she's got a deep pocket. And I have this experience because I'm an expert witness. I testify for either side, depends on who's hiring me, to go against the notary or to support the notary. And I'm going to tell you, the first thing they look at is how much insurance does that notary have? Because that's what they want. And and the bigger your policy, the more juicy you look, is all I can say. So that's my personal opinion. It's not law. I just agree that you can't rely on insurance to help you. You need to help yourself first.
Right.
And that's by doing it right and responding right away. Make it right away is my motto.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Thank you. I'm just sticking with what I have because it's been working for me.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Renee. Thanks for being here. Guys, I want to piggyback on that a little bit too, because what Laura just described happens every day. There are people out there, sharks looking for blood in the water. And when they see you advertising $1 million insurance policies,
Yeah.
it's probably doing more harm than good. Number one, as a consumer, I'm thinking, why do you need $1 million in coverage? How big a mistake are you planning to make? And then the attorneys out there that are looking for, they get these cases every day. There's always something. But if you got $1 million policy, like Laura said, you get juicier with that. Insurance is designed to work behind the scenes to help you in the event of an emergency. It is not an advertising conversation to have. So if you're going to do it, if you have a low risk tolerance, or if you just like having added protection, get it in the background. Keep that tucked away as your little secret. Do not put it on your website. Do not try to use that as your key differentiator in your business. All right. Cami Curvin, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi guys, good to see you. California, Capitola, yay, beach town, beautiful weather, just like you, Bill.
Awesome.
Throw that in there. So I actually was just listening to you saying about the $1 million policy because I have $1 million policy. So I'm running back and forth right now, taking it all off my website, not my website, but on my profiles and stuff. But since we're on that subject, and I have 2 other things to ask, but the reason I did the $1 million was that I believe that some of the directs like to have definitely over 100,000. Some of them may want like 500,000. So would it behoove me just to go ahead and do 500 versus the $1 million, or just be quiet like you were saying?
I mean, you stand by your decision, own your decision. For some reason, you decided $1 million was enough. And maybe there are clients, there are actual escrow title companies out there or closing agents that will require a higher than what we talk about all the time, right? 100,000 is usually standard, but there are companies that have the 500,000, million. I've seen a $5 million requirement before.
Jeez.
So whatever that is, that's going to get you qualified with them. But remember, those decisions are usually not being made on your web. Like the escrow branch manager isn't going to your website and saying, oh, she's got $1 million in coverage. Let's talk to her. That's not how this is happening, right?
Okay.
You are doing relationship building behind the scenes, most likely. Maybe they saw your website, maybe it sparked a conversation, but soon you'll have a conversation that gets you to the requirements, and they're going to say, and this is what we need from insurance. And then you fax over your deck page and you're good to go.
Okay.
It's not a website sale.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to just go back and make sure I don't probably do that because, I've been a paralegal 30 years. So Laura, I agree with you 100% that there are the sharks out there and they'll be looking for that. So yeah. So thanks for the reminder on that. And I did do your website through Green Monkey. Is that?
All right. Yeah.
I feel so bad for those people because I'm so not technologically giant. So I feel so bad. They're going to be really working hard for me. But anyway, it's a great thing. So I have two things. One is about the journal. When you all were talking about the oath. Now, this is something that I write down on my little information paper when I print it out. I write down like what certificates I have to do, and I write down, make sure to give the oath so that I don't forget to do that because we know legally you're supposed to. However, when you enter it, and I'm in California, so when you enter it into the journal, is the jurat sufficient enough to show that you've done the oath, or do I need to specifically say, and I did an oath? Does that make sense? Laura probably knows that one better.
Great question. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, so I think there's a difference between compliance and protection. Compliance is I write down jurat, and it's assumed you actually administered the oath. Just because you filled out the jurat certificate doesn't mean you gave the oath.
Right.
Right. And so protection would be to write the word oath or affirmation in your comments or where your jurat is that would confirm you administered that. Okay. So that's the documented confirmation. You know what they say, if it's not documented, it didn't happen.
Right.
And if you're going to go to any kind of courtroom, what they want to see is what did you do, and all they're going to want to see is what did you write.
Right. Okay. Good point. And then this last thing really quickly is just a little story to remind us. Apparently, I got a call yesterday, and I'm not going to say who the company is, but it's somebody out of Rhode Island. And I guess my first red flag was that the fact that she had this nice long story to tell me. And that Friday she was supposed to have a signing and that the documents were dated Friday. And that they had set up a notary to come on Sunday to do the documents and wanted, quote unquote, the attorney and her wanted the notary to backdate the documents to show that the Friday signing, because they were going to lose all this money and blah, 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 blah. And she said, you know, I hate to ask you this, but is this something that this is on a Monday, right? The day after, can you go out and do this? And I said, listen, there's a difference between document dates and notary signing date.
Right.
And so, you know, my notary signing has to be done the day of. And oh, let me check with the attorney. So obviously there's an attorney involved here. And she came back and said, no, that's not what we want. We have to have it backdated. And I said, do you realize that that is illegal? That in California, that is so illegal. I don't know about Rhode Island, but in California, that is illegal.
Felony.
I guess I was just flabbergasted that somebody, and especially an attorney after spending 30 years in law, that there's somebody out there that would actually still,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? So I just want to put that out there if anybody got phone calls or maybe in the future, they might get a phone call from somebody asking them to do that, but flat out blatantly asked me to go do that.
Yeah. Well, Cammie, thank you for sharing that, because Laura, right, this highlights what Laura says all the time is you can't trust anyone. You have to know. We can't make an assumption that an attorney knows more than we do, because they don't understand. I share this story all the time that I've talked to the attorney at one of the largest banks in the world who literally drafts these documents. And I asked him why he chooses jurats over acknowledgements. And he goes, what's the difference? You know, there's just copying and pasting from other documents. Right. So it's really highlights how important it is for us to take ownership. We have to become the expert in this. Laura, anything else you'd like to contribute on that?
No, I think you really captured that. Just for people's knowledge, in the state of California, that is a felony offense.
Yeah.
For a false acknowledgement, and it's a year in prison. It is up to a $10,000 civil fine. Oh, and you don't get to keep your commission when you're in prison. So, it's a big deal. And most states have similar kinds of penalties associated with that kind of behavior.
Well, this is flat out fraud. This is not like, oh, I made a mistake. I didn't realize I had done a mistake. This is, I intentionally knew this, and this is fraud. So their penalties are going to be much higher.
And they're not going to be with you when you face Judge Judy.
Right.
Exactly.
You'll be all alone.
Exactly.
So, guys, I was just recently confronted with one of these situations where an associate just desperately needed me to notarize something. And, it was like, oh, it's only a $10 notarization. It's only a $10 notarization or $100 or whatever it is that you're getting paid. You got to think bigger. A lot of notaries think, oh, it's $150. That's going to help me right now. So I'll fudge on it a little bit. No, who's going to know? What harm could it do? It can do a lot of harm. And I encourage you to look at the big picture outside of integrity too. Like we are here in a role of integrity. That's critically important. Right. But if you're really concerned about money, look at the long-term impact of that. If you're doing this job right, you're making $70, $100, $200, $300,000 a year. That one decision to forego to integrity that one time could cost you all of that.
Right.
So that's what you have to weigh in balance there. All right, Cammie, thank you so much for bringing that. Stacy Duncan, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, Bill. Yes, my name is Stacy and I'm from Virginia. I have a question. I think it was Soraya earlier on that asked about like your clients. So when you're sending out the signing service and you're trying to market yourself, and some people ask for your resume, do you think, and on my, as far as my personal resume pertaining to notary is concerned, I list the companies that I have notarized for. Do you find that to be, not that I'm soliciting, but I want them to see that I've done loan documents for Stewart Title. I've done Radian, I'm listing the companies on my resume. Do you find that to be like a problem, or could that possibly be a turnoff?
That's a good question. I'm gonna get Amy muted off here. Sorry, there we go. Let me get her muted. Okay, great question. Laura, I wonder, what's your thought on resumes in general, and then whether or not they should include the some of the title companies or signing companies they've worked with? Any opinion on that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, because for this industry, I don't really have a resume because I'm not asked for it specifically. But if I did, I would certainly indicate either the types of experience I have so that they understand I'm not a one-trick pony. I don't just do refis. And I have to think for a moment, would I list actual companies I've done the work for, especially if it's Bank of America and, Stewart Title and Chicago Title and those kind of places, that lets them know that these are the kind of companies that I've done work for. I understand why you want to do it. I'm not sure whether or not you will get what you're looking for. And that's what I'm having to think through at the moment. That's why I'm hemming and hawing right now, is would that really do for you what you're hoping it will do?
Yeah.
So
I had a company that actually I had a company that actually asked, well, can you provide me your resume? And, because, you've been in the business and you may not have like the 200 sign-ins that they're looking for, but I'm saying, hey, I've had, close to a certain amount of numbers, but here are reputable companies that I've done these sign-ins for. So I didn't know. So, as we were thinking like, okay, I don't want to make it seem as though I'm soliciting, because some of these companies are still local, like Stewart in my hometown. There is a Stewart. So you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know, like, do I take that out when they're asking for this, or when I'm going and giving out like the goodie bags as far as marketing, and I'm putting the information, in that goodie bag to say, here's my quote unquote resume as being a loan signing agent.
Stacy, I'm going to jump in here really quick here. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think anytime somebody asks you for a resume, it's a cop out. That means they're not going to hire you. That means they're not going to look at it in most cases.
Okay.
A resume in this industry just serves no purpose, especially when there's been this huge influx. So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it.
Awesome.
If somebody were to ask me for a resume, and this has happened before, I said that, I am an independent contractor. I own my own business. I haven't had a resume in years. Would my LinkedIn profile work for you? And that 9 times out of 10, that actually works out better. I can send them a link. I used to have it included in my email signature so they could just see it right away.
Awesome.
But before you do that, you want to make sure your profile is spot on and awesome, right? You want to be proud of that when you send it over. That's what I would do. And then when it, like, if you include, like, a resume is not it's not, I wouldn't include it in the best practice for like leave behinds. If you're going to go to market and promote yourself to these escrow officers, if you're going escrow direct, get more creative than a resume. Resume is it's old school, and it means employee relationship.
Okay.
That's just a different way of thinking. I would get way more unique and creative in your approach and focus more on the connection and the relationship than a piece of paper that you leave behind.
Awesome. And my final question to you and Laura, do you all offer, like, just thinking outside of the residential, like commercial loan signing courses to, if we want to go to that next level and get into like commercial loan signings, do you all offer that type of training?
Yeah, well, I do in Sign and Thrive. We have a module on it, and we get to talk about it quite a bit on office hours. It's one of my favorite type of loan signing appointments now. I love commercial deals.
Awesome.
They pay more. Just the flow of the conversation is different. And I love working with people who respect their time. Things just tend to run very efficient. There's none of the, I'm a document reader, I'm going to sit here and read everything. You know, the attorneys have all done that. So yeah, we get to talk about it quite a bit in Sign and Thrive. And then Laura, I know you get to do some of these too.
I do. I don't teach any courses on that, but I do have some experience with it. And I agree with Bill, man, I take those any day of the week.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest part is because they kind of know what they're doing. Whereas I hate when I'm at the table, and I shouldn't say I hate, but it always seems like I'm at the table and I'm the one that knows more than anybody else. And I don't want to be in that position. That's not why I'm there. Right. But when I do the commercial ones, everybody else knows what's going on. All I got to do is stay in my lane.
Awesome. Bill, I will be pinging you for that information for your next class.
All right, you got it.
Awesome,
My
thank
class,
you.
no problem. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to say this for everybody who's watching the replay too. The class goes on all the time. You can join anytime at notarycoach.com. It's the Sign and Thrive Notary Training Course and Community. Guys, that brings us right up to the full 1 hour mark. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, growing yourself and your business. And thank you for doing it on my birthday too. Laura, this is awesome as usual. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And if we've missed any of your questions, I see we still have 5 hands up. Both Laura and I are extremely available coaches. So feel free to shoot us a text or book a call, a quick call with Laura. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you later.